come on up. I want to make sure. Because it's down. So the down is the renovation?
It's the completion of the renovation.
Okay.
Yes.
How are you?
The-
Are we good with are we getting enough books in our beautiful library?
Well, Mayor, Council, we are getting books.
You can
for
answer
next-
honestly.
Not that you've been put on the spot or anything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We are getting books. I can never say we're getting enough books. We are getting less than the prior 2 years when you approved $50,000.
What is it this
the
year?
book budget. 30,000.
30? Okay,
That
thank
barely covers all the e-books and a subscription to all the new digital resources that we have, which, as you know, they're very expensive. And the
Absolutely.
remaining would be for the printed books, mostly for children and young adults to support the schools curriculum.
Well, thank you. Mr. Manager, can we see if we could at least match last year's to if we could add another 20 to the library? This part of your supplemental I'm looking at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mocha. I know we don't have a director. 27%. That's high.
What are the only change there was we added the one, I think it was the one position, correct? And
Because I'm like 27.
Mocha got the air conditioner needed to be replaced. The library also got the air conditioner.
Yeah, I
needed to
saw
be
the
replaced.
library.
Those are separate line items. So.
Yeah, separate. So the,
but he's saying with the increase, it's AC or and the one position. We added
The
a,
wolf also. What about the wolf?
no, it's not in here.
You're not
The-
gonna.
Is there any way? Is there any way for next time we can make like a supplemental booklet to explain what these increases or decreases are?
absolutely.
I mean, it would
We
be so
separate-
productive.
We do,
It would be so productive.
we-
21%. Okay, this is why.
Don't you have
Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada.
I don't know if this is it, Mr. Mayor. It's so small.
It's,
This
it
is
is,
This
it
is
is,
it, right?
it is there.
This is
It
the
is
list?
there.
But
It's
it's too
just,
small.
it's kind of small.
Yeah. And I'm not even going by that yet. I was just going by.
Just the general change, the general change.
Overall, I didn't want to cherry pick. I just want to do, okay, because we pretty much on
We went
point.
through
I'm
it,
just
yeah.
going to go over the
This one.
summary. Yeah, and I'm just doing the general fund expense. So again, so the 27% is what? The AC is 88,000. What else?
You also have the positions covered by Mocha Inc., which the city's subsidizing now, and that came out to a little more than 300,000.
What? What you say we subsidize the how many
Mo-
positions?
The museum in past years, talking about 3 or 4 years ago, the city would contribute 1 million,
Okay.
and then the private entity, they'd support the other $3 or $4 million. With the secession of the museum and how it's turned out, the city's been subsidizing that portion. And it's being truly recognized in the budget this year with the increase that you're seeing.
Okay. All right. Ooh. So that's the 374.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And we have 2 assistants. All right. So the non-departmental, that's 45%. That, Mr. Manager, could you explain to us a budget?
That's your
What,
reserve.
yeah.
That's the additional revenue that we received from Solomon in December, the $4.4 million.
Yeah, but the 4.4 would not, what else is in there? That's why it's so high. I'm trying to figure out.
It's just, it's, what's in there is the increase, the large increase over last year to this year is your
Okay.
total reserve.
Is the total, okay.
The
that's
total
what I'm-
reserve contribution, which is the big portion, single portion of it is the 4.4 million of the money we received from the sale proceeds from Mocha. Then I think you have the additional, and the 2 million From the CAGNY
The
appropriation.
CAGNY, okay.
Yes.
So it's just sitting there, so in previous year, this is a line item that should be back and balanced, back and forth, okay. The, what is this office manager, oh, okay, budget. Okay, budget, okay, good, okay. Well, no, it's not good, I was looking at something else. 12%, where is that coming from?
We have a new budget analyst.
Huh?
We have a new position in the budget department.
Added to,
We used to have 2, now we have 3.
okay,
There's-
you proposing or you adding, which one is it?
It was added last year and it's being reflected in this year's
This
budget.
year. So last year, we didn't have this increase.
What happened was, for that position, what we did was we took out contractual service of a little more than $30,000. And we said, hey, what the benefits of making this person full-time, the cost is only additional $10,000, so
I
we made
see.
that move.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, now I thought we always had that, but you're saying it became
It was a
full-time this year.
part-time that became
Gotcha,
full-time.
okay, I thought it was, I was in question, I thought there was an additional one coming in this year.
No, sir.
Gotcha, okay. Parks,
Yes. The variance for parks is due to the completion of some projects like Sasso Pool, Facade Park, the tennis renovation.
yeah, I know, the question I have, and they do such a good job, is that it's down, however, so all of that's part of these capital improvement are part of their budget. So that's why although some of the line items, the personnel could go up, but the net will go down.
Matter of fact, if you allow me,
Yes,
and
sir.
Terry kind of said it already, every single department, because of our, the already approved and anticipated approved contractual obligations will have in salary. If you were just looking at the salary line item for every department, there will be an increase. This number that you're seeing, and
We
you just
know.
explained it, is the net of change from last year plus those additions, so
Okay,
yes.
so so there's no new positions from the 50?
In parks, there
Yeah.
are 2 new positions.
Okay, two.
Uh-huh.
So last year was 48, this year will be 50. Okay, the other question, I think this will be the best time to bring it up, because I think they have such a large number of part-time employees. While we were going over the budget, part of my concern, well, not concern, we wasn't giving nothing, although everyone will be getting the 7% increase, either the 2% COLA and the 5% merit, et cetera, et cetera. In some cases, some people are changing steps. And I did say, sir, whoever monitor that we don't have an employee, if a public record is pulled, that is being jumped 2 steps. We gotta be very careful, because if we're doing that, let's do it for everybody. But if it's one, and that's what we're hearing, the public is knowing about it, we okay with it, that's what's being fun, but I know there are some things that could be done administratively, but let's be careful. And whoever, unless us, then we'll have to be explaining, well, this person was such a good superhero, they were gonna leave. I really would say be a little caution about that. But to my point, what can we do? And I know your hand are kind of tied, Mr. Manager, because where we are in the budget, and that's what I said at the beginning. By us adding and making requests, and you're just hearing from me now, not the others, yet there's gonna be some choices. What can we do to help the part-time employees? Because a lot of them, which I'm very passionate about, because they do live in the city, although not that many, but there's a nice number. They're getting barely minimum wage while everybody else is getting something, which I'm very happy everybody's getting something, but can we find something can we raise something for our part-time employees?
Through the mayor, of course. Couple things. One, some of the positions that you see increase in this budget are us transitioning individuals that were previously part-time to a full-time position. So we've heard, I think we've heard it, and we're starting to respond. with regards to a larger program, we can look at, and I've worked on some of these in the past, in a transition, come back to the council with a transition program that says, if you have a part-time, and I know some exist here in our city that have been there for X amount of years, we can develop a kind of, I don't want to say an automatic, but as close to an automatic process for making them the first recipients of the next
Well-
full-time job. And then with regards to the salary, their existing salary, we'll take a look at something. I know one of your colleagues has been adamant about pushing for some minimum wage considerations citywide. So, and I know we did some analysis around that, so we can pull that out and see what we can do and maybe recommend a transition plan for that as well.
Okay,
Well, not
I mean,
recommend a
there-
transition plan for you.
you will find administrative, there are some employees who's worth what you're talking about, the
Correct.
program, and some who may not. My question would be, what's our minimum wage right now? What's the lowest a part-time person is getting? $8 an hour?
$8
And
805, I think it is.
805, Mr. Personnel? 805. So my question would be, because these are hourly people,
Correct.
can we raise it like to $9? Because everybody's getting 2%, everybody's getting 7. And that 7 is almost past $500,000, I'm assuming. I don't think giving them $1 extra on an hourly rate, I don't know how you guys do the formula. I don't know how much that would be. That's what can we not necessarily transition some of them to full-time, because some of them may not even be working, full-time or whatever, or want to work full-time. There may be some students.
We'll do that calculation and bring that number back.
Okay, all right.
Because I don't want to guesstimate.
Yes, yeah, I got you. But you understand what I'm saying, Terry?
I'm going to ask a question for clarification. So, us doing that, you would want us to set a minimum bar for all the part-timers. And the reason why I asked that question is, remember during the summer, we
Yeah, the YOB.
on loan, not just YOBs, but also we bring on the summer camp counselors and stuff like that. So, and they're literally only here for, they'll be here for 90 days or whatever.
That's why they
Do you
should
wa-
be getting 15.
Well, I guess I'm saying that to distinguish between our permanent part-time,
Yeah.
if you will, versus those people who are seasonal.
Well,
Personally, I'd be open-minded that if maybe a summer person maybe only made 9 while the more permanent person made 11 or 12.
yeah, well, I like that even
and-
better.
And
Maybe I
and-
should have stepped
Yeah,
say it quiet.
exactly, you would have been okay.
Well,
No,
but
no.
that's where I'm coming from. I recognize the jump to $15 an hour minimum wage is perhaps
Yeah.
a lot of money. What I've been seeing other cities do across the country is they're doing it incrementally.
Yes.
They're moving it up to here, and then by the 3rd year they're moving it to the 15 or something like that.
City of Miami did a 5-year transition.
Okay.
Well,
So I'm open-minded,
But that
but
was
I definitely
some time ago.
think that $8 an hour
Is-
minimum wage, nobody could live on that. So
Yeah.
well, when we do that, don't we have to be kind of prudent? Because are there any state laws that actually guide these type of
Well-
decisions?
Well,
Where, I
maybe-
mean, you might want to be fair toward a certain group and neglect another group. I mean, Mr.
he can't. Actually,
Maybe Joe.
he's lost his voice, so that's why I'm doing a lot.
Oh,
of
he's
speaking.
lost his voice. Well, we have a city attorney here. If he can opine on the subject as to how we should. I don't think it's a decision we can just go and make just like that. We need to look at the state laws to see what they say before we. Labor laws, state law, whatever. I mean,
I
it
wouldn't
just
recommend-
pops in my
I
mind.
wouldn't
I don't know.
recommend making a decision tonight, as the manager said, let's go back. But in terms of minimum wage, we wouldn't be in conflict because we would be making it higher than the minimum. Normally, if it's a minimum wage, you can't go less than the minimum, but you can always go higher.
I know what I'm it's not to the person
He's talking about the groups.
to whom that you are giving the increase. It's the other employees who may not be getting it.
That we probably should look at.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the considerations when I take this back is when we've looked at this in the past, there's a number of issues that come up. Compression to the existing contractual employees that we have. We have to consider that. I brought up one example, seasonal employees versus more permanent part-time. I think sometimes they are considered, they're in different classifications. So I wanted to kind of, so that you're not surprised when I come back and say, oh, Vice Mayor, the number is $200, but it only includes 50 people as opposed to maybe
As long
we
as
add.
those 50 people live here, I'm okay. But, okay, sir, I think I got you.
But to the point, I will go and do the full analysis and get back to you in time before the next hearing.
Not a problem, thank you. Moving on, parks, we done. Personnel, moving down, police. Okay, now, here's the thing. Police, new request is, from their budget, although it's only 3% from last year. So how many new officers? We were debating, it's 4.
There's 8 new positions in the police department, and 5 of them
Ooh.
are, 5 of them are officers.
That's what I'm
One's a
talking- just
commander,
officer.
and 4 are part of a cops grant.
Okay, okay, let's go into, not the one with the grant. Let's talk about the, how many commanders do we have now?
Let me turn to the page.
It's
8? No,
7.
okay. Okay,
7.
so why do we need another one?
The additional one, well, that's the replacement. No, so that's, no, that one's a promotion, but it's mine. We added a commander, we promoted a commander this year, which was an additional commander. That commander was, Commander Brinson, who is the now full-time emergency manager. The reason why I requested for him to be promoted to commander is because he was previously in the rank of sergeant, which means he was eligible for overtime at any moment in time, except as opposed to being an exempt employee. So it was a cost savings measure, if you will, for the city.
Right,
I would try not to, I don't want to mention any names, because I didn't really know exactly. Okay, so is that position that's you're proposing there, or that's an additional one? That's already included?
It's additional over this year because we added it this year.
Okay, so where are we now without that position that you added? It's 6 or 7? It's 6. You said 8.
6.
Okay.
No.
So is that the commander you were talking about, or no?
I'll just go through them specifically.
Yes,
so
please.
we're clear.
Okay.
8 new positions.
Mhm.
So going through the changes, and this is on your page
Wh-
123.
120,
You have-
gotcha.
1 new assistant police chief, 1 new commander, 1 new emergency manager. Police officers, there's 1 less. You went from 93 to 92
Why?
because one of them became the commander.
Okay,
Then crime scene technician, there's 1 less, and that became a quartermaster, which is 1 new. There's also a public information specialist, which is
Wait-
new.
wait a
And
minute.
1 is a records technician. That's a total
wait,
of 8.
wait, okay.
Mr.
I thought we had
Mr.
a-
Vice Mayor, and can I say something? Those are administrative decisions. Those are not policy making.
But they are
That's-
part of the budget, no, those are, if you giving us a budget, we gotta go through it, as you are the person who's
But
supposed to be
adding an
voting.
employee or not is an administrative.
No, I'm not
decision.
adding or, Mr. Council, I'm not adding, I'm asking question if I'm gonna be voting on something that I don't know about. So I went through this thoroughly so that I could know exactly what I'm voting on. So it'll be up to him, whatever that he would wanna do. But he has to explain to me, why are we if they give you a $200 million budget, you're just gonna vote on it because it's administrative?
No, I'm talking about
Oh.
there's some decision, there administrative
Well,
decision
he's
or
asking,
technical position when it
Some
comes
of
to the
them.
police department. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
yes, sir.
Can I ask one question? Okay. These decisions to hire or promoting officers to commander and what have you, are these based upon a request from the police chief, or is it the sole decision of the managerial staff?
So the promotion of individuals from rank position to command position are the decision of the chief, supported by obviously myself. So he will, operationally, he'll come to me and say, Mr. Manager, because of X, Y, and Z, or we have X, I need to have this level of command staff.
Okay.
One of the overriding things that I should say, and I know I talked about this with each of you individually, is the chief and I, as a result of some of the things that have transpired, we are working together to take a look at what the command structure is, and that's been an ongoing process, particularly to achieve some of the things that I know you really want, which, and former chief just said it, boots on the street.
I do understand that, but I simply asked the question just to piggyback on what Vice Mayor was asking.
Right.
So we should take it on the dais that all of these changes in salaries and additional staff are pretty much requests from the police chief based on his budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Each one of them is from the
Good,
department.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, so we have 96, would it be, so 92 plus 4, 96 officers total. Okay, and we had 97 last year, or we didn't have the 4? The additional, the cop grant.
Last year you had 93 regular police officers. This year you have 92 plus
Plus
the 4
4.
cops, which
So it'll be
is
96 total. Okay, now I feel a little bit better. Thank you. All right, moving, Public Works. Is because the department, the capital improvement, why it's down? Okay. Hold on, I did have one question. I'll come to it when it comes to Public Works. And that's basically it. I'm okay with the others. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll come back later if I have any other questions.
Thank you. Who wishes to go next?
It's me. I just have a question for the police department. I see that in the budget, police training fund is down 20%. When you say it's up, well,
I don't know where you see police training
It's
fund.
here.
Yes.
police training fund.
Oh,
On
that's
page
a
5.
grant. That's
Oh, that's
Exactly.
included.
it comes from the state, but you should know, or the mayor and council should know that training is an operations expense. Last year, there was 1.9 million for their operations. This year, it's proposed at 3.8 million, so the
Okay.
police operations went up.
Okay, I was okay.
One quick minute from his time. Mr. Manager, you and I, we did talk with Terry. I just don't want to forget this point. Please, see what you could do for housing, because that's one of my biggest concern.
Yes.
I know we talk about roads and streets, but having the line here the other day, September 1st, that's one of my commitments. So, we already talked about that. I just want to put that on the record. Thank you. Go ahead.
And just to finish, Mr. City Manager, I have only one thing that I would like to see add to the budget, and the senior citizen program. Now you have it for one day at Joe Celestine Center. See if you can add another day at Griffin Boulevard, at Griffin Community Center. The same thing, that's when you're gonna have it 2 days, like maybe Wednesday and Friday.
Okay.
With the same team, just another
Yeah, just
location, another day.
Just have them at the other location.
Okay. How much is gonna cost?
I'd have to look into
Operation.
that. that to see what that is on a daily basis, but I mean, we already provide the transportation and all that
Yeah,
stuff, so
yeah.
the physical move should
Yeah.
logistically should be very simple. It just be a matter of getting the staffing for that additional day, the programming, and whatever.
Make sure that does not affect the aftercare,
Absolutely,
after school program.
absolutely.
And
Yeah, no, it would be separate.
No, because it's small, and I understand from 3 to 6, we have to close the community center. That's mean if you can
Get out
reduce
of there.
that when it come of the time, just add another days. That's it.
Okay.
And I'll tell you where to get the money if you can find it.
You wanna go first? Go ahead.
I mean, I already said what I wanted, but I would agree with Councilman Bieneme. I would support the extra programming for the seniors at Griffin, especially with transportation. With regard to what Vice Mayor DeSulme stated, he talked about code, but I think he was talking about maintenance. I would love to see someone, I think that would be more public works than code, going around our streets. I mean, sometimes it's just horrible what people throw out on the roads, and I get it, there's just not enough manpower. And by the bus benches and the trash cans, and I hate to say it, but we have poop stations, and people just, no matter how many we give them, they want more, so that takes more we gotta empty them. So we could use definitely another maintenance person throughout the city. And, did you wanna answer that?
Just through the mayor, just quickly, a response to that is, that process of keeping the city straight is a collaborative process between us and our citizens. I think now, I know you guys know we were working on the alleyway cleanup to address some of those things, although the adjacent property owner is technically responsible. So we will look into adding something there, some additional resources, but I think it also includes, it's not just public works, it is code enforcement. Matter of fact, I remember the mayor just a few days ago, we were talking about signage in the windows, and that is about visually and aesthetically cleaning up the city and the look and the feel, and that part is definitely not it's a code enforcement, it's an issue of us going out and saying, hey, or even educating, you're not supposed to do this, or it needs to be this way, so we will
One of
definitely
the
look at
problems with our city, it would be nice if our citizens would cooperate and take care of their own city. We are a city of major pass-throughs. We've got 135th Street, we've got 125th Street. We have the Biscayne Boulevard, we have alleys like even in Keystone, and it's really not fair. 131st Street, people are passing through our city that don't live here and don't care. They're passing through Keystone, they're going to the shopping centers, and I imagine in Northwest 7th Avenue, they're going through the shopping centers, you've got passers.
West
And
Dixie.
they're throwing their stuff, West Dixie, they're throwing their stuff all over, and some of the people, it's their swales, it's their responsibility, but it's really not fair when, they're on these public thoroughfares. I like to help them, and I sure don't wanna fine our residents because, pass-through people are dumping stuff on their property, so I'd love to see another maintenance person. As far as night patrol, if we can't do a park ranger, if it's something we could work with the police department in the evening shift, someone on the rounds, if they had a secondary key to the park, so if parks can't get there, then the police would have it, and they could just, the park's not closed, and they just go over and, check it, make sure nobody's loitering, and lock it. So, anything we can do to get additional police patrol, especially in the evenings, and the traffic control is something, if we have enough, I mean, again, you're saying we've added more people. I'm hoping that the new people we've added are gonna be including that. And on, as far as the, street repair and sidewalk repair, I didn't hear the mayor ask for $1 million, I didn't catch that. But I, did he? Okay, so if we can.
No, I did. I said I would rather.
I didn't hear the $1 million request, but if we could put some more in, I support that. But again, I support combining street and sidewalk to make it one big number. Thank you.
And sweat improvement.
Yes.
Well, for the police department, the body cameras, it's, we talked about it, 120,000. So that would cover every single officer who's out there in the streets. Now, will there be that same company we're buying them from? Are they going to be
No,
responsible?
No, we
We're not
are,
we can-
Hmm?
no,
right now, we
haven't
are,
make any decision about it.
we haven't made any decision.
We
Well, we,
gonna-
I know we are considering, you are talking to different
we're doing,
vendors.
we're doing demos from a number of different vendors. Actually, the way it's looking, we will probably have to do a solicitation of some type, just based on the, people hearing, I guess, because what I've said publicly about, us moving to cameras. We've been getting a lot of, calls
to
and
bring it-
requests,
You have
so.
to bring it to us.
Oh, yeah,
Decide
absolutely.
if
No,
we
it's
want-
gonna be a full, open process.
Not after the RFP, we're talking about the policy to set up,
Yes,
for the
every,
camera.
all
Let
of,
it bring a resolution
all of that
for us
stuff
to
is
vote
part
on.
of our, what we talked about, and I've briefed with you, the 90-day, this police department's 90-day plan. So there will be plenty of public input, feedback on the
Yeah,
policy
but
and all that stuff.
that's coming in.
Yes, that's coming.
That's for policy. I was questioning the financial part of it. The 120,000. How did you come up with that amount? That's since we haven't yet, purchased it. How do we know how much it's going to cost?
Through the manager, through the mayor, we basically, through our working with the different companies that go through the demos, we've gotten estimates on cost, what it does cost to outfit the officers, and 120,000. It looks like the cost that it's gonna cost. The maintenance, agreement will be a little more. However, we don't anticipate the cameras being installed and operational till March 31st. That is my deadline to make sure we have everything ready to go.
Which deadline?
So we won't pay
By who?
to implement.
What is
Well-
the deadline? We haven't decided if we wanna put,
Well, Yes,
body
sir.
camera on officers.
Well, our research, if we do decide to move forward, we won't be doing so before March 31st.
Who will be reviewing those clips? Are we gonna do it in-house or outsourced?
All of that stuff we need to deal with.
So we don't know yet.
We haven't delved into any of those. All we've done is
But
done is
if
seen
we don't know yet, why are we putting a dollar amount on it? I mean, because
'Cause we-
if the dollar amount is simply just to buy the vehicle, but you're not telling me how much it's gonna cost it may be costing me $1 million to maintain.
It will not cost you $1 million to
We don't
maintain.
know.
Well, based on
Do we?
based on the research, the preliminary research that the deputy has done, working with the police department, we're confident that this number and this budget allocation is sufficient.
And
With regards to
the O&M will be done at the police station, not
I
outside.
haven't made any of those decisions, because some of the the reason why I don't want to get into it, there's a lot of different ways that those cameras can be operated and
But we have
maintained.
to approve that 120,000.
It is just a budgetary allocation, which I have to legally do
Okay.
right now.
Okay. So because I brought it up because I know once we agree to it, it will not cost just 120,000. That's 120 just for purchase
In the next year's operating budget.
in the next years.
Yeah.
That would be plus whatever it costs for operation and maintenance. And we,
But you're gonna bring a resolution before us.
You will have full resolution, selection, we will
What
have
means
policy
selection?
discussion. The selection of the vendor, the eventual vendor.
No, we need a resolution first to see if we want it or not.
Uh,
Then after that, you're gonna,
The city manager has made a strong recommendation to this board that we do
you
need
have
body
it
cameras.
where? It's not on the agenda.
I understand.
okay. The point is well taken. Now, I'm back to public works. I know that, Vice Mayor have talked about, and Mr. Each, very eloquently expressed it as well, and as well as Madam the Councilwoman. We know that we've had many, concerns and complaints about public works, but sometimes people can't decipher whether it's really the tasks of public works versus code enforcement and so forth. But at some point of time, I think we have to have a meeting of the mind to draw the line as to where public works stop and where does the code enforcement start. And with that being said, I'm going to be sitting with you and the attorney this week, just to see how we can come up with some kind of language to see how we can abate littering in this city. Because I think this is something that we have to tackle, and if we do tackle it and tackle it properly, we can be effective at it. We can teach people, educate them, and we can find them so that they can become more responsible people. If they going through our city should not be considered as a trash can, just to litter at will. So with that being said, our streets, a lot of times, people, like my Presidente, for example, you remember when I texted you that photo? And not only the accumulation of the water, but the trash that piled up on top of it. I mean, how could you have something like that in the street? And when I talked to the people, they said that trash had been there for over a week. And we have what's the name of our trash company again? Yeah, Westboro. And not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago, we had a young lady who came here, on the first floor irate, and she was right. She was being fined by the city for trash that was in front of her house for over a week. Where we have a trash company which is being operated, not operated by, but at least work in tandem with Public Works. So we should have, just like Councilwoman just mentioned, the possibility of having a park ranger going around. At any point of time, we should have a public work team, be it the team could be just one person, just go around our streets. I mean, during the daytime, evening, whatever it is, to see what our streets look like, so that they can be taken care of, early morning hours. Because it's just not, we are not having a good looking city as we want it right now. And the three departments that are responsible for it are Public Works, Code Enforcement, and Parks. So we just have to nip it in the bud.
Mr. Mayor, I totally agree, and I've been having private conversation with Mr. Sorry, with the manager. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start calling them throughout the day, as I did, and I want to thank Arthur publicly to come out to this resident. And once he was out there, he was able to see it's bad. And we talked about, I know you coming up with a plan, and I've talked with the director about the back of these alleys. It's filthy. So I totally support somebody, a park ranger, however you want to call it. What we saw in China, we had these little people pushing little thing. I mean, we were laughing, but the streets were much cleaner than over here. And if we, we got to do something to uplift these neighborhoods and educate the folks at the same time. And that's something that I think Public Works could do. I didn't know if Parks did some of it, because I didn't know that was falling to Parks, but, please.
They did some.
Well,
I think they do, because I remember talking to Mr. Sori, and we have to schedule a pickup truck to drive by in the city, pick up small trash on the street and things like that. We did that in the past. I don't know if Park and Rec continue to do so.
Well, your point, I would kind of circle the conversation just to say your point is well taken. I've been working with, having a number of conversations with our vendor. The transition and responsibility that was a clarification I want to make, of right-of-way maintenance and cleaning. There is some responsibility that lies with code enforcement and their engagement with our waste management provider, but the general responsibility will lie with public works, no longer parks.
Okay.
So,
well, Madam Councilwoman, I'm going to yield to you in just
on this
go ahead.
litter and cleanup, it's somewhat of a budget item, but about 2 years ago, this board passed a resolution restricting putting flyers and advertising on cars or on walls, mostly on cars in parking lots. and I go, my office is in a public parking lot, Publix, and every single day there's at least 1 or 2 cards left on my car, flyers, car washes, and it would be really nice if our code or somebody like that could go around, pick up these one, it's a mess, so they have to be picked up, but 2, to go and call these people and find them and enforce it. So we're not enforcing a law that we put in place 2 years ago, which is causing a tremendous amount of trash. That's all I'll say on that, but I just want to remind everybody, we've done that and nobody's enforcing it.
Thank you. My last point is on the transit shelter installation. Since it is listed here, it caught my eye, $49,000, and again, Councilwoman has been talking about, and I've been wanting to see some nice shelter, transit shelters along the 125th Street corridor, and I know that they had been on order there for what, over 2 years now?
I have to speak to Mr. O'Brien.
2 years? Yeah, that was way before I got elected. Yeah.
I'm just a proponent of as many covered bus shelters as possible, and shaded
Yeah,
bus shelters.
2 years ago.
We got a
'Cause
request
I
for
really
one
hate
today.
seeing people waiting for a bus in the sun
I mean,
and the rain, so.
it gets to a point where it's not even funny, guys.
No, we know, Mr. Mayor.
This is a 90-year-old city. It's not like a city that was incorporated 10 years ago. You know, and this is a 90-year-old city, and I mean, this is 21st century, 2016, city of North Miami, city on the move. I mean, for us to have a councilwoman who allocated some money and was voted on to get some bus, shelters, and for staff to just be like, okay, we don't care. You can just vote on anything. We're just not going to do it. 2 years.
Mr. Mayor.
And now, then in addition, now you're asking us to also vote for $49,000 for additional, shelters. For what? I mean, we ordered some and they haven't come for 2 years. I mean, in my right mind, I mean, I would be insane to say, yes, okay, no problem, let's allocate an additional $40,000 for something that will never happen. I mean,
Mr. Mayor,
that's...
if I can jump in there, I know that part of the reason that the shelters are harder to erect is that they're larger than just a bus bench, and their footprint sometimes needs the permission of the landowner on the backside. For instance, for instance, if you want to put it at 135th and Biscayne, and there's a shopping plaza there, and we need an extra 2 feet on the plaza side, if the plaza doesn't sign off and deed us that land, we can't, even though we have the money to install the shelter, we can't install the shelter because they won't give us enough footprint to do it in sidewalks and ADA accessibility. So I know over the years we've run into that issue when we put money toward it, but if the landowner doesn't want to give us their land, then we're sort of stuck. So
Well,
that's
that would be such a good explanation. I mean, had I had that explanation in the past, this would be a moot issue now. I mean, the fact is we haven't even gotten to that point.
I'm an old gray-haired man, and I know where the skeletons are.
So I don't know. So I'm only mentioning it because I see it's a line item on this agenda. So in this budget, I'm not going to vote for this $49,000 until I see the ones that we've already ordered.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, through the city manager, the bus benches and the trash receptacles through the CRA have begun to be installed in the downtown area, out front, in front of Mocha Plaza. There is the new bus bench and trash receptacles are down 125th Street. We have already begun changing them out with the new trash receptacles that did come in and the bus benches. We have more that are on order now, but the first set have come in and some have been installed already, and we're going to continue to install it as they do come in, sir.
Thank you. It's on the record.
But they did just,
Thank you,
we
Mr.
just got them installed recently. Though.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question while you're at this, Mr. Mayor? What happens if we allocate something, and I think this is why it's critical to have the people that we've been trying to get to a year and a half ago from now, what they call them? The one that we talked about
The
last year.
advertising, the
No,
advertising.
the compliance people. If I think I'll feel better if we get like updates on these projects. What happened if you allocate something on a previous budget and then nothing happened? I just recently see something.
So if it is a capital allocation,
Yes, it's
it would
capital.
roll over into the next fiscal year to be
Mhm.
used to complete whatever that directive was.
Okay,
If it is an operating allocation, it would
It's
roll back
capital.
into the general fund reserve, and then we would request for it to be reallocated as part of the new budget.
it's
So
a
it's not
capital
new
item.
money, it's just, but the
Yeah.
capital items, they roll over.
I
So
forgot
the
about
money's still there.
the particular item. It was a resident who said, well, you said a year ago this was gonna happen, and then that's when I remember, I said, I did, but I don't see nothing. And then a week later, I did see, we did put the
the
stuff
money
up, we're
back.
gonna do something. So I think if we, and I think we talked about that, have
Yes, we
someone
did.
at least update us, like this is going.
So you will be getting since we will be spending a lot of time together over the next month, in fact, every Tuesday,
Mhm.
you'll be getting a capital update at the next meeting. So
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Mr. Mayor,
go ahead.
just quickly through you to the city manager while you were talking about cleanliness of streets, especially on our entryways. If you are talking to Waste Pro, one historical footnote, back when we were still doing the pickup, we used to actually very quietly pick up bulk trash on 125th and 135th from I-95 to approximately City Hall. We used to, on those main corridors, we used to pick up bulk trash every day and just didn't announce that we were doing it every day as a way to keep it clean. And once we got rid of that, our ability to do that, we started to see more and more of the piles. So if they're willing to negotiate a daily, of course, those residents are getting more of a service than others are, but it's also helping keep our main corridors cleaner.
through the mayor,
Go ahead.
I have two responses to that. Absolutely, in general, the right thing to do to keep our thoroughfares clean. Absolutely the wrong thing to do because that is encouraging the illegal dumpers to come and put it there. So what I would do, and I've seen in the past, and it's the point you just made, code enforcement,
Yeah.
Waste Pro and us, and Public Works have to work so closely together. So every day, and how about this? I do it. When I come into the city, I usually do a loop, 125, 135th, just to see what's going on. Or so if I see something, I can call or any of the staff that's coming in, hey, I saw a pile here. Today, I know today is not the pickup day. We need to get somebody out there.
Getting every day.
Yeah, well,
Well, you know I do it because you get my text and so does your deputy. So what the last point that I wanted to make is pretty much apologize to my council members because I was under the understanding that the Brew Fest, I know it was a hush-hush thing at the very beginning because it was kind of at an embryonic stage. But as we moved along and finally especially last week, after you've met, you had the conference call with their attorneys and we agreed on the name that I was pushing on because they didn't want North Miami being part of the name. But of course, I put my foot down because had it not been for my idea, that would not have been a reality. So, but to be honest with you, I was under the understanding that you were briefing the other council members. And it was, of course, by intention for them to be aware that it was coming up. And I'm sure it's something that most likely they will embrace, but they need to be briefed on these type of things and know that they're coming, at least,
and I will publicly apologize to you and the full council. Again, I'll make sure I brief everybody this week and the beginning of next week on the item. I actually do have a draft contract now and some actual meat and things that the university is looking at. Quick point, I think, as the mayor stated, this is something that is great for the city. The university is very excited about potentially partnering with us, and this event brings several hundreds of people, and the expectation over the next 3 to 5 years, it will bring several thousands of people, including the new 200 microbrewers that are in the state of Florida,
Yeah.
all to North Miami, and be one of the signature events that we will be producing. So.
Yep. Okay, any other comments or concern or questions? If not, we'll take
I had one quick question.
go ahead.
I know we didn't address this in the budget, but do you think we need to do something or about Zika? Not yet? Just kind of play by ear?
No, well,
Actually, well, actually,
Play by
well, you know, there you go again. I met with the manager, and it was you and who else?
it was me. Well, you met with me, and we went over some things. We
Yeah.
talked to PIO, and
We talked to PIO about a stepwise approach as to what we'll be doing as a municipality, and he has. Why don't you come and
All right.
give a briefing next meeting?
at the meeting, I will.
At the meeting next week,
I'll give a full.
and let the people know, and as well as actually you should meet with the council members prior, and let them know what's coming up in the pipeline, so they can bring the intention is for everybody to bring in their suggestions as to how we should move along with it. So that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to. We need do we need the motion to adjourn this meeting?
No. I'll make a motion to
okay.
approve the tentative budget items as read by the city clerk.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve tab B, the City of North Miami budget as proposed. That motion was then seconded by Mayor Smith Joseph. Councilwoman Keys.
No. I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the streets. The $1 million for the street. Hmm?
You mentioned.
I mentioned it, so that's part of the.
It is what I asked as part of the discussions, that I will take back all of your suggestions
Okay.
and bring back a full recommendation, all of the suggestions.
Councilwoman Keys.
Yes.
Councilman Bienerman. Vice Mayor Desiree.
Yes.
Mayor Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Galvin.
Yes.
Tab B passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. So we need to adjourn now.
So, just so and I'll state on the
No,
record,
there is one more item.
we have a special call meeting item.
Yeah, what is this?
I'm just letting them know that they have to adjourn. I'm not gonna say the item. We have one call item, which I'll explain, but we need to take a 5-minute recess so that IT can reset the meeting. So if you would, allow me
So we're
that
taking a
5 minutes-
recess.
a five- a 5-minute
We're not having two different meetings. We're having just one
No,
meeting.
it's 2 different meetings. That's
I'll-
what,
So we need to adjourn then.
that's, we need to
Move
adjourn.
to adjourn the
Okay.
budget hearing.
Second.
Thank you.
Don't leave.
So we'll take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be back to discuss one more item. One more item. Was that item properly published?
What is